is for us today. We actually have an awesome guest in the house, man. And you know, we're gonna be speaking with him the second hour of the show. And man, it's just a dope you know, opportunity to speak with him. You know, for all of you that don't know, there's a documentary that's out called Hustlers Convention. Hustlers Convention. And Hustlers Convention, if you're not familiar with Hustlers Convention, is said to actually be the first rap album. And this is actually by Lightning Rod, who would later come to be known as Jalal, which was one of the founding members of the legendary Last Poets group. And you know, it's just an awesome work, man, and being able to put street realism into sort of this rapping form, if you will. And this joint here, this project, this full length album, if you will, Hustlers Convention, actually came out like I think I want to say the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And the whole joint just explores the lifestyle of a street hustler. And it really is a story, man, and it's just rapping over instrumentals, jazzy instrumentals, and it's dope. So that the actual documentary that's out explores that project, and then also explores the life of Lightning Rod, aka Jalal, and then also gets into his involvement with the Last Poets, and then even the impact of the Last Poets on just the world. So it really is awesome. So we're gonna have a chance to speak with Quenell Jones, who is actually the director of photography as well as the producer of the Hustlers Convention documentary. And I think actually in Harlem they're actually playing it sometime in July. And what we'll do is we'll get that information up on the Facebook fan page for you guys to check out. But they are debuting it in Harlem. I mean, not debuting it, but showing it in Harlem fairly soon in Harlem. So for those people that are in New York City, we encourage you to check it out. But this is what I want to do. I'm thinking maybe let's explore some of the Hustlers Convention right now, man.
Yeah, man. Why not, man?
You know,
dope album.
Yeah. Let's explore some of it. So check this out, y'all. And you know, it really is a dope tale, and we talk about you know, listening to these sort of this trap music and you know, gangster rap is what they classify it as, and street rap and all of that. And this stuff is not new, man. This shit is not new. We revere this stuff now as good music, arguably. But the truth is that it's not new, man. It was influenced, whether people are aware of it or not. All of that shit came from this. And then even around the same time, just in a book format, we talk about Donald Goines and Iceberg Slim. This shit here is the actual rap version of what Donald Goines and Iceberg Slim were doing back then. So let's check it out, y'all.
You just entered the TCOHHL exclusive zone. Turn your radio up and let this shit knock, son.
Was a full moon in the middle of June in the summer of '59. I was young and cool and shot a bad game of pool and hustled all the chumps I could find. Well, now they call me sport, cause I pushed the bar short and loved all the women to death. I partied hard and packed a mean rod and could knock you out with a right or a left. I had learned to shoot pool, playing hooky from school at the tender age of 9. And by the time I was 11, I could pad roll 7 and down me a whole quart of wine. I was making it a point to smoke me a joint at least once during the course of a day. And I was snorting scab while other kids played tag and my elders went to church to pray. I pitched pennies and down bennies and played the horses at the track. I wanted cards against tremendous odds, and my favorite game was blackjack. I seldom lost cause my game was so boss. I mean, I had my shit down pat, and I was running through bitches like rags to riches, cause that's where my heart was at. Yes, I was a down stud's dream, a hustler supreme. There wasn't no game that I couldn't play, and if I caught a dude cheating, I would give him a beating, and I might even blow him away. Ace Boom Poon was a young boy named Spoon. My crime partner from the block, he had served a bullet and a deuce, and now they were cutting him loose from the joint they called a rock. We had hung out as kids, serving alternate bids in various reform schools and jails, and he was like my kid brother, and we had helped one another till he was busted for some stolen goods sales. When he finally came back on the scene, his wardrobe was lean, so I bought him some vines of his own, and then we lit up some smoke and snorted some coke, and I dug how the brother had grown. He was bigger and meaner, and his mind was more keener, and he had earned the rep with his hands. Plus he was eager to compete with the hustlers on the street, from a man that ambitious plans. And I lent him a yard, copped him a rod, a 38 blue steel piece. Then we split to the Cafe Black Rose to party with some hoes, and for dinner we ordered a feast. Just about everybody goes to the Cafe Black Rose to drink, party, and eat. And if you ain't down, you better not hang around, else you sure as hell will get beat. The grease is nice and at a decent price, and all the bitches is fine. The jazz is so sweet, you'll be patting your feet while sipping on a cold glass of wine. You can cop your bag of reefer or skag and even some coke or some hash, but don't ask for no credit or they'll tell you forget it, cause hustlers only deal in cold cash. We had just finished greasing when the bitches started teasing for us to split and lay. Spoon's cunt collar was tight, which is understandably right after serving 3 years in a day. We about ready to split when I dug Brother Harmony Grit, a runner from the south side of town. He was coming our way, so I figured we'd lay and hear about the happenings going down. Brother Grit was hip to all kinds of shit. I mean, there wasn't nothing he didn't know. He knew every hustler's name, including his game and who did or didn't keep dough. We traded jive and slapped each other 5 as Spoon silently checked him out. He had heard that Spoon was my Ace Boom Poon, so he knew what our hustles was about. He was as usual, so sporting as well, clean from head to toe. He was dressed pressed down in a pinstripe brown, and his pocket was bulging with dough.
You're tuned in to the Chronicles of a Hip-Hop Legend radio show on TenacityRadio.com. Touch that dial, and it's underwear, elastic waist ripping wedgie time. Stay tuned, sucker. This is feedback. Ow, 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 ow.
I've got some news you dudes could use that might help y'all get by. So I thought I'd nonchalantly mention the Hustlers Convention taking place at the end of July. It'll be at Ham Hocks Hall, winner take all. Only the best can play. Cost you 10 grand to get in, but you must continue to win, or you won't be allowed to stay. There'll be money for the making, bitches for the taking, and all you can shoot, snort, smoke, or drink. And a whole lot of lames will fall victim to the games, cause only true hustlers can think. Gonna be hustlers galore, trying to score, traveling by land, sea and air. There'll be a coming to play from New York and LA and other points distant and near. They'll start to arrive around 11:55 at number 66 Snake Eyes Square. Won't be no cops on this beat, they been paid off real sweet. Why even the mad and cop the Michelle. Now I'ma be in charge of the security men at large that'll be surveilling the flow. And when the shit hit the fan, just squeeze the palm of my hand. Now let y'all slip out the dough. Just give me 20% of each earned grand from either you or your man, subtracted from your total net. And the words telephone for you will be y'all's cue to start easing from out of the set. Well, that's about it, Jim. It's time for me to split now. Y'all can school me in a week or two. Sport, you should make it a bet to land on the set. Let Spoon make us a hustler's debut. Grit had our heads spinning, just thinking about winning. But we maintain a silence there. The main hustler rule is don't blow your cool. So we acted like we didn't care. But I knew this was it as I watched Grit split, contemplating what all this meant. Well, I had saved my money like a bee star's honey, just laying to make this event. Spoon let me know that he was ready to go, so we anteed up and split. We went to a Southside hotel called the Fires of Hell and proceeded to cop a little bit. When I finally came to, I was all black and blue, and one of my legs was in a sling. I was handcuffed at the wrist and on the critical list in the prison ward hospital wing. Seems they had blown a hole through my chest that almost laid me to rest and put knots all upside my head. I was gagging and choking, and my right leg was broken, and it was just a miracle that I wasn't dead. I was sentenced to the chair and shipped to Sing Sing from there, where I spent the next 12 years on death row. But I kept on copping a stay till the death penalty was done away, and after retrial they finally let me go. It had cost me 12 years of my time to realize what a nickel and dime hustler I had really been, while the real hustlers were ripping off billions from the unsuspecting millions who are programmed to think they can win. But fortunately I had escaped from the deathly fate of being fried alive in a chair, cause in my solitude I found out what's really going down. You see, I had learned the whole truth while I was there.
So if y'all will, we've just played for you, a couple of joints off that Hustlers Convention joint by the legendary Lightning Rod, aka Jalal. And if you, as you could tell, it's crazy, right? Because there's a parallel between some of the stories that he's telling back then to what we're hearing in rap music now, particularly the street joints, right? Like, you hear these drug tales, you hear, these street exploits, if you will. But one of the things that I tend to find that doesn't parallel from what we hear now compared to what Jalal was doing back then is the cautionary side of it. Right, so he paints this very vivid picture about, the ins and outs of street life, and I really encourage people, like Stats, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to the full thing yet, but I've had a chance to listen to the entire joint, and it really is, a complete depiction of the ins and outs of street life, I guess, as told back then. But nonetheless, you hear the ups and downs, and then what we just played, the final joint, was, where it all ended up at, and how these sort of street exploits culminate. So you hear, this street hustler ending up in prison and doing 12 years in the can, man. Like he says, well, if that's, I might be fucking that up, but but anyway, like, definitely check it out, man. It's worth it. And then what happens is you hear Jalal, if you follow this career, and he makes that transition into the Last Poets. And then for everybody, if you a hip hop fan, if you call yourself a hip hop fan and you really live this culture, you should know the significance of the Last Poets. And if you don't know the significance of the Last Poets, this is what we say to you.
Who the fuck is this asshole?
You got to get your shit together.
Yeah, man. Get it together.
You got to absolutely get it together, or we will be saying,
who the fuck is this asshole?
So get it together. But so what I want to do is just real quick, man, before we get Quenelle on and we go into the interview with him. Let's just listen to this joint by the Last Poets, because this joint here is crazy, yo. Absolutely crazy. We'll be right back, y'all. Check this out.
Let's go.
Selfish desires are burning like fires among those who hoard the gold, as they continue to keep the people asleep and the truth from being told. Racism and greed keep the people in need from getting what's rightfully theirs. Cheating, stealing, and double dealing as they exploit the people's fears. And now Dow Jones owns the people's homes and all the surrounding land, buying and selling their humble dwelling in the name of the master plan. Cause paper money is like a bee without honey, with no stinger to back him up. And those who stole the people's gold are definitely corrupt. Credit cards, master charge, legacies of wills, real estate, stocks and bonds on coupon paper bills. And now the U.S. mints on paper prints millions every day, and use the eagle for their symbol, cause it's a bird of prey. And now the laws of peace and the hours of wars are clutched very tightly in the eagle's claws, filled with greed and lust. And on the back of the dollar bill is the words, "In God we trust." But the dollar bill is their only God, and they don't even trust each other. And for a few dollars more, they'd start a war to exploit some brother's mother. Then there's the pyramid that stands by itself, created by black people's knowledge and wealth. And over the pyramid hangs the devil's eye that stole from the truth and created the lie. Now I knew it means an endless amount stolen over the years. And coexist means a new empire of vampire millionaires. And novus is a Latin word meaning something new. And ordo means a way of life chosen by a few. Seclorum is a word that means to take from another. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding stolen from the brother. A Roman numerals on the base of the pyramid's face tell a date they began to exist, when they established this branch of hell in 1776. Now there are 13 layers of stone on the pyramid alone, an unfinished work of art. For 33 1/3 is high as a mason can go without falling apart. 13 stars in the original flag, 13 demons from the devil's bag, 13 berries and 13 leaves, 13 colonies of land-grabbing thieves, 13 owls in the eagle's claws, 67 corporations wage the devil's wars, 13 stripes on the eagle's shield, and these are the symbols on the U.S. seal. Now on the front of the dollar bill, to the right of Washington's head, is a small seal in the shape of a wheel with a secret that's been left unsaid. The symbols in the middle represent the riddle of the scales, the ruler, and the key. The square rule is a symbol from the craft of masonry. The scales represent Libra. the balance of the seventh sign. They also represent the just us, which you and I know is blind. The key unlocks the mysteries of the secrets of the seal, so that only the governed human would know what they reveal. The four words above form the last parts of the secrets of the seal, and tells how they fool the people into thinking paper money was real. Now Thisar means the treasury, where they store the gold they stole, and Amur means to punish, like the slaves they bought and sold. Then Septent means 7, like a 1776, when the 13 devils gathered to unleash their bag of tricks. Then Sigil means the images they've created to fool the world, like the colors on Old Glory, the flag that they unfurl. Now red's for the color of the Indian man, white's for the devils who stole the land, blue's for the eyes that hypnotize with the tricks and traps they sprung. And even to this very same day, they all speak with forked tongue. And so the power's in the hands of the ruling classes, playing God with the fate of all the masses, so the people don't get any in the land of the plenty, cause E pluribus unum means one out of
Welcome back to the Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend radio show. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging in there with us this evening. As we had said previously, we have a special guest with us tonight, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that what this brother is doing is absolutely integral to just building upon, and then also truly understanding the history of hip hop culture. So for all of us that are in the know about hip hop culture, we know that hip hop started out as this sort of desire to be able to speak about social inequality that was happening primarily or initially in the South Bronx of New York City, or just in the South Bronx of New York City, and then that started to fan out and bring awareness to other inner city neighborhoods that were within New York City, in the 5 boroughs, and then subsequently that would just spread nationally to the point of just bringing awareness to just social inequalities and the issues that were occurring within inner city neighborhoods across the country, and then even beyond that, the world. And we know that the voice of these folks early on in hip hop culture, it sort of came from this desire to leave the gang culture alone and be able to achieve some level of positive balance among between all of the gangs in New York City, by just initiating or bringing forth this culture that would allow it to do so. And then the mantra of that culture would be peace, love, unity, and having fun. But we can't forget about we can't forget about the civil rights era and everything that was done, by some of the civil rights legends that we know of and that we hear of all the time. People like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Medgar Evers, and the list just continues to go. List obviously goes on with the Black Panthers and people like Huey Newton and Bobby Seale and those good folks. But one of the things that we don't often talk about, and we are very much informed about it, most of us anyway, or I would say those of us that are truly tuned into hip hop culture, we know the significance of the last poets. And
right.
I've even had a chance to buy, like, this was back in the day, man. Like, I remember one day, and this is during college years, man. I was down in the Village, and I was at Bleecker Street Records, broke with no money, man. Them college years was hard. All I had was a fucking Mountain Dew and a Snicker bar, man. That's what I was living off of every day, right? But on this day, I had like $5 in my pocket, right? So it was either buying a slice of pizza to go along with that Mountain Dew and that Snicker bar, or it was either buying some comic books, which I was really into, truth be told, or it was spending that $5 on a CD that I had saw in Bleecker Street Records. I think it was probably maybe $4 and change, and it was The Last Poets. And I was like, damn, I have been looking for this. So I was so adamant about being able to find just material by The Last Poets, because I truly understood the connection, and I understood that, when it comes to this thing called rapping, it didn't actually start where we thought it started, but it started before that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to eat today, man. I'm just going to cop this joint. And when I got home that night, I had a chance to pop it in my portable CD player, put my headphones on, and rock out to it, man. And the shit absolutely changed my life. Now, I had already been informed about Gil Scott-Heron, right, and the stuff that he was doing, but I wasn't totally clued into The Last Poets. And then as I continued to live with that piece of work, I started to see just the true connection and the groundwork that these brothers laid through their just social consciousness, man, and their desire to be able to bring awareness to the plight of black people across this country through this rapping type thing that they were doing, man, this rapping and rhythm thing that they were doing. And then you know what, man, I could go on and on about this stuff all day, but you know what? Let's just introduce the brother that has released this Hustlers Convention documentary that goes through the history of The Last Poets, and then not just The Last Poets, but Jalal. Am I saying his name correctly? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yeah, Jalal, and then the song the piece that he had, The Hustlers Convention, which truly was a street tale about just the antics and the ins and outs of street life. But without further ado, let me just introduce him. Quenell, thank you, man, for taking the time out tonight. We thank you for coming to the show. What's up, good brother?
Yes. Good. No, thanks a lot. Thanks for you guys, having me, and I really appreciate you guys, taking the time to listen.
Absolutely,
man.
So let's just dive right into it, man. Where did it start for you? I mean, I've had an opportunity to speak with you previously, and we didn't really get a chance to speak at length. But how did you come to this hip hop culture? And then we'll get into down the line how that sort of came into, your passion for The Last Poets and this Hustlers Convention. But how were you brought to hip hop?
I grew up hip hop. I was born in Chicago. I'm born in Chicago, Illinois, West Side, K-Town. Right. give it a shout out.
Yep.
So I grew up, I guess for lack of a better term, in the hood. What I mean? That's where I grew up.
Nice.
So I've been around rap music all of my life. I grew up with my brothers rapping. I grew up with my brothers writing down lyrics. I'm not a rapper.
Right.
But I could definitely tell you, I remember way back when my older brother was on stage singing a rap song, a Slick Rick song.
Right.
It was a Slick Rick song, and it was a talent show. I cannot think of the name right now, but
yeah.
But he was on stage. It was a talent show. I remember this visually. I'm a visual person,
right? So
I'm like, and he was on stage, and I remember my father. He like, look, when you go on stage, I'm gonna give you this fake money. Trust me on this, son. As my father would say.
Right.
He had fake like $50 bills.
Nice. So he was making it rain back. Was he getting ready to make it rain back then?
He did, of course. Now, so at the end of the Slick Rick song, it was it's a classic one. He was being chased, Subway. I can't think of the name right now, but Slick Rick song. And my brother, he had like the big fat chain. He was, do up. He was straight up looking legit baller, right?
Nice.
So at the end of the song, he throws the money out. boom. So all the kids run up, because they thinking it's like real money. You see, all the kids run up, and we have a picture, of course, of him with the money right in the air, and like people going up to it like at the end
Ballin'.
That's crazy.
I grew up hip hop. Okay, I grew up in a very much a hip hop household, house culture.
Right.
So I definitely have an affinity towards it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's part of my upbringing, definitely.
Sure, and it's you bring up a story or a part of your life that certainly parallels mine, because I too have an older brother, and I was introduced to hip hop by my older brother, and I can remember back in the day, he was a part. I mean, he wasn't a rapper, but he had some friends, childhood friends that were rappers, and I can remember them doing a song. And they put the song on cassette tapes, and everybody got a copy. And I remember him bringing it back home one night, and we were, he was like, check this out. So I listened to it, and it was the coolest thing that I had ever heard before in my life, because it wasn't just, it was rap music, but it was my big brother actually on a song. Now, granted. And I can't believe I remember this. This is like probably more than 30 years ago now. But it was a song called Conceited. And my brother's role, my brother's role was to chant the chorus. So every, I don't know if it was every 4 bars or however many bars, but he was just like, conceited. Conceited. That was his job on the song. It was and now in retrospect, it was the shittiest song I've ever heard before in my life, right? But it was cool at the time to somebody that was maybe 7 years old. You know what I mean? So I just had to bring that up because it's interesting how our experiences, particularly with this culture that we call hip hop, no matter where we are in this country or where we came up at, the experience parallels one another, so that's very interesting, and that's cool. So
that's crazy.
I know, you came up in Chicago, and during that time in Chicago, I'm sure there were a lot of things going on culturally in terms of Black empowerment, and then also too, I think about something that truly resonates with me. Right, with you coming up in Chicago, you're talking about the birthplace of the 5% nation of gods and earths, right? So how was all of those things that were going on just culturally, just with Black empowerment and Black awareness and cultural awareness? How did that impact you?
For me, it has always been a curious thing, definitely. Okay. Because I've grown up in a pretty open lifestyle. My parents allowed me to explore a lot of things. Right. So yes, I did walk around with the African chain. Yeah. Yes, I did have and plus my brother was a barber as well. Okay. So I had, I think, every hairstyle. Right. And then you had to hook up too, because it was free. I got my hair cut every week. Yeah.
Just fly, man.
So yes, Chicago was definitely a political storm. This is going back when like Harold Washington was a mega force. So he was running for mayor, being like the first. He was like the young Barack Obama of Chicago at that time. Right. And having that energy surrounded that. Then obviously with the music and the influx of like different hip hops generation. But then also, I also grew up on that gangster hip hop, which was like a very strong influence, because that's where I grew up. Right. You know what I mean? So, a lot of the gangster hip hop and this level of like, it's very hard music, for some, but I like gangster hip hop because, it makes you think about yourself, and just like, it's like a self, I need to take over the world I don't give a fuck how I need to do it. I need to make that money. You know what I mean? It's
exactly.
Like, you know, it's a different way of looking at the world. It could be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree. You know, gangsta hip hop is hard music, but it also almost like this self-determination sort of music too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's interesting to me about gangsta rap music or gangsta hip hop is I've always like some of the. I mean, and Stats could comment on this too and offer his own perspective. But for me, a lot of the shit that they spoke about didn't really resonate with me, but I understood the position, right? Like I understood, you know, the lyricist's willingness to be daft enough to be just unapologetic to put out there what their lifestyle is and not give a fuck about what anybody else thinks about it. And everything that was sort of communicated in those lyrics, a lot of it was illegal shit, but they just didn't care because it was like, you know what, this is my lifestyle, and you know what, most of the time they would put a, you know, it was intended to serve as a cautionary tale, if you will, right? It's like, I don't want to do this, I would much rather do this, but
my back is against the wall.
Exactly. And I have to live and I have to survive. You know what I mean?
But you know, that sort of message, you know, it resonates throughout hip hop. It just comes in various forms. You know, hey, I love Tribe Called Quest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hell, I love Ice-T. You know what I mean? So it is, you know what I mean, that sort of message, you know, and that's why I believe that's why hip hop caught on globally.
Right.
Because it's almost like the language of the oppressed in some senses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it comes out in various forms because sometimes the oppressed are in very dire straits. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's no one to turn to but the mirror. You know what I mean? And that sometimes can be tough.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no family. You know? There's no friends. You know? So you have to have a level of self-confidence somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think you know, back then though, it was you know, how can you say, it was more freedom of choice. I mean, everybody had the same, you know, mainstream idea, but you know, you had like the Native Tongues, you had NWA, you know, you had like, you know, a large variety of people giving you the same message but in different ways.
Yeah.
You know,
it's diverse.
Yeah. So, you know, and I think it's happening now a little bit. You know, but you know, it scatters. You know, and you know, and that's why it was.
I would say it's not as thick as it used to be. It's a little thinner.
It's a little thinner because, like, you know, you had like cliques back in the days where, like, you know, like Native Tongues, like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Leaders of the New School. You know what I'm saying? Like they formed a little conglomerate.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, and that's why I was interested, like, to even, you know, see the, you know, the documentary, because you know, like, I didn't even know about the what's those guys, the Watts Prophets.
Yeah, the Watts. Yeah, I didn't know about that either, man. That's a good point. Yeah,
like, you know, it's a couple of things like I learned by watching it. You know, and
it's a couple of things I learned by fucking making it. You know what I mean? It has been, you know, and I'm like, damn, this coming from a guy, you know, who grew up, but but that's why I like working on these sort of projects. You know what I mean? It's even for me, you know what I mean, it has been eye-opening experience. Even for the director. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even he don't know. He has Mike Tarr, who I've been working with for like over a decade now, on the Joe Frazier documentary and this documentary as well, and others. You know, we go into these, you know, into these projects, you know, with a very basic idea of how we want to approach it, but you know, we work on these projects for like 3 years, so things evolve. You know, you learn new things, and there's a discovery happens.
Right.
You know, as I like to say, there's so much depth and brevity in the black community. It just hasn't been explored. You know what I mean? And to me, and this is one of those subjects, you know what I mean? It is like, you know, this is the subject of, you know, like, where did this big global conglomerate, how did it we know, rhythm been around in the black community since slavery time. We understand that it's been a church. But we're talking about this thing called hip-hop. We're talking about like a specific thing. When do those things click? And this album, illustrates that in the hood, once this went underground, this was the source and a lot of inspiration. And that's telling, you know what I mean? And when I talked to Jalal, only thing he's so proud of that he was able to get his work and his art out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And inspire people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Of like, wow, this big thing called hip hop that have many forms. It has, conscious, which I love, as gangster, which I love. You know what I mean? But they all try to express this message of, self-determination, picking yourself up, and even helping out the community.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So it's, hip hop is a complex, and that's why I get frustrated when people try to box in hip hop. It's a complex structure, and it should be that way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to say, that I was one of those people that, for quite some time, particularly as I started to get older, I didn't want I had my own, definition of what hip hop music is and what it should sound like. Right. And then what I realized is that what I'm doing is I'm wishing for hip hop to stay the way that it was for me at some of the most memorable times, in my life up until that point. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, really, that's what music is. That's why music resonates with people. And that's why music, when it's done properly, is timeless. We had this conversation with EMC, Master Ace, Strickland, and Wordsworth just the other night, just last night, as a matter of fact. And we were talking about music. When music is done right, it's timeless. And the reason why it's timeless to people is not necessarily because, what's being said is important in the music and the content. But if a song can continue to resonate with people over and over again because it speaks directly to a point in time in their life, that's what makes music timeless,
Right.
And I had to realize, you being selfish with hip hop. You don't own hip hop.
Yeah.
Your version of hip hop is going to be your version of hip hop. What you like is going to be what you like. And then if you want to listen to Big Daddy Kane, then go buy Big Daddy Kane's album and listen to it then. You don't got to expect, kids that are, 20 years younger than you to follow suit with this. And then what I've started to realize is that hip hop, if we expect hip hop to stay around, and we expect hip hop to have this longevity, then it has to go through change.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It absolutely has to go through change, and it has to be redefined over and over again. I think the only problem that I have is that when people get away from what the intent of hip hop is. You know what I mean?
Understand the history and the culture.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And Quenelle, I have there's a question because there's something else I wanted to ask you, Quenelle. In the film, man, I saw something I've seen, but I didn't know what it was called, and it was called toasting. Now toasting, I didn't know anything about it until I watched it, and I've always heard this, but for some reason, I heard the rhyme, and I used to watch like Dolomite and things of that nature. And he always had like a theatrical, toasting going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like a big thing, So
down
yeah, so
the motherfucking
yeah. So and in that perspective, man, it's like a lot of people don't really know what that was called or know what it was, and it was like early form of expression, like people like Melly Mel and these early these Curtis Blow and artists back then. I never knew that this is where they got this from. You know what I'm saying? And and there's another thing that where people think that this hip hop is something new. It's really not, because I heard I don't know if it was if it's Abu Dunn, I believe is, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Abu Dunn.
Yeah. I don't know if it's him who said it, but they said like these kids need to learn that this is not new. Everything comes from something else.
That's right.
So it's like Melly, and then Melly Mel even put a word on it. He's like, he got it from somewhere else, and it's going to keep going.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So like, I just want to, like I said, man, this is a beautiful film, man, and I just want to thank you for for even putting it together. And you said it took 3 years, so what I mean. When I watched it, I was like, wow, this is stuff that I need to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
man.
And you know what? If I can, I want to, before we continue into the last poets in this film, I want to just go back a little bit, because I think it's important to understand how Quenelle got to this journey, right?
Yeah.
And how he got up, how he got to this point. So, Quenelle, at what point did you realize that being a documentarian would be your passion and something that you were interested in?
Oh wow, yeah. Just since I was a little kid, when sitting around watching nature documentaries with my father.
Mm-hmm. Like Nova on PBS. Remember that shit? Nova.
I was a huge PBS fan. Yes.
Marty Stauffer.
Nova.
In Wild America.
I remember looking in, and I remember telling myself, or I probably spoke it out loud as well, but I remember this phrase: "How do you do that?"
Yeah.
What is going on inside of that?
Right.
And but also what I liked about documentaries is that you really get to tell a story about a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what I like to do is like to tell it honestly. As I try not, and tell the truth, good and bad, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? And but to me, I started looking at documentaries at a very early age, and then I went to a high school that had a television station in it, so I continued working in the field as a camera operator and stuff like that. Then went on from there to get my undergraduate degree in narrative cinematography.
Nice.
And then I went on to get my master's degree in documentary cinematography from Manchester, England.
Wow.
And that's,
wow.
Yeah, and that's where I met the director Mike Todd when I lived over in Manchester, England.
Man, so what was that experience like? So I mean, you talk now. Had you ever, leading up to your graduate studies, had you ever been? I mean, you might have been out of the country, but had you ever been to the UK before?
No.
So I mean,
didn't even visit.
So you think about a kid that came up in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
During the height of this, brashness that came along with the the civil rights. Civil rights movement, you know what I mean, and people are now empowered with their blackness and they're unapologetic, and they're basically telling whitey to kiss their ass, and you know what I mean, and so in so many different ways. So when you got over there, how was that experience for you? Was it a culture shock, or how'd that go?
It was great. It was a culture shock, but it was more of a culture shock that I'm American.
Nice.
And the understanding that different cultures do things differently. I may be black, but I'm completely American because that black British guy didn't do what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the way they do things and the way but I absolutely loved it. I was there last week, promoting the movie, the Hustlers Convention. So no, I really enjoy England. I learned a lot. I met some really, really great people there. And during the class, it was an international program, so I was able to work with a lot of people from a lot of different countries, such as like Ghana, from Malaysia, from Germany, from China to, so I was able to work with a lot of international directors while I was there to gain a different style of working. So now I had a great time, and plus I traveled a lot, which was great. You know what I mean? So I was, able to go to like France and Greece and backpack through Spain and things of that nature. So it was a great experience. So I was able to shoot a lot of documentaries and learn about a lot of different cultures and learn about myself as an American too, as a Black American.
Right.
And looking at my place and in the world. That was great.
Absolutely.
Wow. Was there like and I know you did a lot as far as accomplishing your goals now, but when you were a kid, like was there like a particular film that inspired you or something that you can remember that inspired you the most to do what you're doing now?
Not one particular film. Because I look at it all, because I feel you could get value from many things, not just one particular source. You know what I mean? Right. So I like the that's how I watch TV, but even that's how I like to communicate with people too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I like to talk to a variety of different types of people with a variety of different types of ideals that may be completely different than mine, but I may learn something. I may not, because I may disagree with you, but I also may learn something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So, to me, it just being open to those possibilities, and so that for me, it's not like one like there's like this crowning jewel sort of thing, but more of just a collection of different things, because I read and study a lot of different types of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If I just want to jump back to the cultural experience, because I think to your point, Quenelle, I think different perspectives truly is what shapes our individual perspective, and to your point, whether you agree with it or not, I mean that's one thing, but I think you come away with certainly a different context about whatever the topic might be that you had a discussion on with that person. And I think
I may not agree with you, but I'm listening to your argument.
right, exactly. And as trivial as this may sound, I just want to tie this into food because I had the opportunity when I was from the age of 14 to about 17. Every summer, and Stats and I are both from Brooklyn, right? But every summer, my parents made me leave New York City, Brooklyn, and they sent me upstate New York to work at a camp for the mentally and physically disabled, right? And when I worked at this camp, I mean, when I was 14 going up there, I hated it because all I could think about is me being away from the city and away from my friends and wondering what they were doing. But as I got older, I started to appreciate the experience because this particular organization, they sponsored visas for people all over the world to come to that camp and work. So I had a chance to, within, every summer, I like to say it was sort of a passport, if you will, for me to be able to travel around the world without actually having to leave the world, right? So some very good friends that I made were folks that were from the, UK and Australia. And, some of the experiences that I had was, through their cuisine. So I always wanted to ask somebody that is from the States that had some time to, go to the UK and spend time. If just culinarily, if you had a chance to experience this shit called Marmite, and I don't want to make it. I'm not trying to trivialize this, but that shit is so nasty, man. And every time I get a chance to speak with an English person or even somebody from Australia, they look at me like I'm crazy when I say that Marmite is just fucking disgusting. Like, and they spread this shit on their bread. Did you ever try that?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh man, that's good. That's good that you don't know, man. That shit is horrible. Like it's some type of And no disrespect to the UK people and the Australian people, right? Because we have some really good people. Shout out to I Am Hip Hop Magazine, some great affiliates that are based in the UK. I Am Hip Hop Magazine folks, Mickey, Gata, Rishma. But I swear some of the shit, man, it's like, why would y'all eat this shit, man? Like, man, that's it. But I digress. But I felt like I just wanted to bring it up because it was,
it's all good.
I just totally, people out there that are listening, it ain't just fish and chips. You know what I mean? It's a lot of other things, shit that you just might not like, So I just wanted to bring it up. But, yeah, man. So at what point? So we spoke about the what brought you to being a documentarian, but as I understand, you're also what do you call it, a videographer too, right?
Cinematographer.
So
yeah.
What is the difference between a cinematographer and a videographer?
Well, a cinematographer, is more of, I guess you can take it from more of an artistic standpoint.
Sure. Okay.
They're looking at it from a craft.
Okay.
It's not just a gig.
Sure.
It's something that you have to. It takes time to study.
Gotcha.
You try to study the master painters to try to hopefully emulate them and maybe even surpass them.
Right.
It's not about just documenting the moment. It's about finding the moment and finding the meaning in the moment.
Right.
Right.
So it encompasses a lot of those sort of ideals about, the work. And that's even when I shoot documentaries, it's not about, just make it, handheld or, because Mike and I, we do have, very long, extended discussions about style, tempo, pace, on how we're going to shoot this.
Sure.
Because it matters. I know it does. Because a handheld feels differently than a tripod. And we can use those sort of things in certain moments to get, when we try and say certain things.
Right. Gotcha.
So, so that's more of the difference. I'm not just out there shooting.
Sure,
what I mean? That even though I've read, just like Mike, I'm well abreast on hip hop culture or the person we're interviewing. So I'm not just out there just showing up at the day and just hitting the red button.
Right.
Gotcha. So now I guess getting to I guess the meat of our discussion with you. How'd you get to this project, with the Last Poets and this Hustlers Convention?
It was this is something Mike Taubman, he read a book, years ago when he was, in college, and, it talked about, Hustlers Convention, and 5 Freddy was, talking about Hustlers Convention. He was like, what is this thing? And it just stuck in his head for a while. And then after we did Joe Frazier documentary, then Mike said, well, now I got another idea. How about this Hustlers Convention? And I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't know about it. I had to learn about it. And I'm like, what is this album? But when he sent me the album and I listened to the entire album, what immediately brought me back to was my father again. Because my father had this 5-minute rap that he used to sing around the house all the goddamn time. And as a shorty, I was like, man, what the, and he used to, I was coming up and he was just like 5 minutes and he'll sing it. He didn't care. He just did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
right.
So, and that immediately brought me back. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me my father was doing toast? Because it was the same beat, tempo.
Wow.
And I was like, you mean to tell me I was listening to Toasting and I didn't even know about it? You know what I mean? And it was like a weird sort of connection. You know what I mean? And I talked to Mike, I'm like, oh man, this is wild, man. I'm like, because soon as I heard the album, it immediately brought, because it was the same exact like tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was nearly attached to the documentary at that point, and then me and Mike, we continued working and doing research and everything of the sort. So it and 3 years later now we have our documentary. But yeah, it's it was definitely a worthwhile journey. But also I grew up as I used to shine shoes for about 2-3 years as a kid too.
Okay, yeah.
So I grew up and rhythm all around me. Yeah, that's a bad with the and I grew up with Pimp Players Hoes. You know what I mean? In there, getting that now let it get or shine. You know what I mean? I wasn't, because I was young. I never was able to get. Wasn't able to shine the Pimp shoes,
right?
But I was able to shine his hoe shoes.
Nice. And you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about a little shorty. Like, if I could visualize this, I'm thinking about a little shorty with his shoe shine box at his shoe shine stand, right? And he's shining these shoes, and he's just hearing all this game just being spit. Like, shit, man. Like, this is some crazy shit. And if you've never had exposure to to stuff like that, you're talking about stuff that blows your mind.
I grew up with that.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is, so I'm thinking about the Hustlers, the project Hustlers Convention, right? The album, right, by Jalal, and the track list. Stats, check out some of these, and listeners too. Check out some of the track list. The name of some of these joints: Sport, Spoon, The Cafe Black Rose, Brother Hominy Grit, Copping Some Fronts for the Set, Hammocks Hall Was Big, The Bones Fly from Spoon's Hand, The Break Was So Loud It Hushed the Crowd, and 4 Bitches Is What I Got. Like, so right there, what I'm thinking about is a freaking Donald, is the auditory version of a Donald Goines or Iceberg Slim novel.
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking about, man.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Talking about Donald Goines all the time, man.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So was this Jalal's sort of first? Was this his sort of debut or his entrance into this expression of rhythm and rhyme? Was there anything before this, or this Hustlers Convention was his first, experience and opportunity, if you will?
No, it wasn't his first. It was just the one that took off.
Okay.
But no, he was doing rhythm and rhyme. He he does it all the time. I mean, even when I talk to him now, he talks in rhyme. I can't cut it. He talk. That's how he rolls, and we be going back and forth, and because I know, I could go with you too. You know what I mean? But he goes. That's how he talks. So it is in him. You know what I mean? So he's been rhyming and poetry for decades.
Nice.
You know what I mean? But the Hustlers Convention is, as he'd like to put it, is like one of his greatest art pieces, when all his art come together. All the stars align, so to speak, and here we are with this masterpiece.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what's interesting too? What we're talking about here is something that has influenced so many people, and I think about Martin, right? Just follow me for a second, right? The show Martin, right? And you remember that character Jerome, right? The one with the fucked up teeth and the bad acne, right? So there's an episode that I just saw recently, and the episode is when Tommy or Martin leaves Cole and Tommy in charge of an anniversary present for Gina. The anniversary present gets stolen. So does Jerome's gold tooth, because they happen to all be in Jerome's new club. The club gets robbed. So the three of them, Jerome, Tommy, and Cole, make their way to the sort of stash house or the safe house for these crooks, right? So as they're trying to get in, Jerome says this shit to Cole, because they're like, how we gonna get in? And they're questioning him. So Jerome says, shit, what does he say? He says, if I told you if I told you to hook the sucker up, then it'll come to me. But it was a rhyme, and the shit made absolutely no sense. But every time I listen to it, it's like absolutely funny and crazy because Jerome speaks in rhyme. And Stats, it's the same thing with like Feedback, right? From the Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend, the literary series. Feedback speaks in rhyme. And it's like half the shit that he says makes no sense. But to him it does, and it's fly. So I say that to say, what these brothers were doing, particularly in this case, Jalal, what he was doing back then is something that continues to resonate with people even to this day. You know what I mean? And it's definitely such an important craft. And I think with what you're doing with this, and I was going to say this earlier, Stats, with what you're doing with this Hustlers Convention, Quenelle, to me, if you call yourself a true hip hop head, right, and you have Wild Style, Beat Street, Crush Groove, Breaking 1 and 2, and then arguably, let's say, The Last Dragon, Juice, and whatever else has come after that, right? And then also in terms of an actual documentary, Wild Style, not Wild Style, Style Wars, then you definitely should have, this Hustlers Convention documentary in there. And because it truly is a hip hop documentary, if you're talking about the roots of the culture, Yeah. So definitely. So,
thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hustlers Convention. So I think we know what the content is of this work. Hustlers Convention. I'm actually talking about Jalal's Hustlers Convention that was released back in 1973, right? But what he had come to do with The Last Poets is a stark contrast, right? So how did he get to that point where he said, he got with these brothers and he realized, all right, and I shouldn't say he realized because I'm sure he's always been conscious about it. But he said, I'm going to go ahead and switch from this, this type of content to doing this now.
To me, when I asked him about it, and when he talks about it, he looks at himself as an artist. And an artist likes to experiment in different art forms.
Nice. Okay.
But his tool was rhyme. So either he was doing some form of poetry, or he doing rhyme with music.
Okay.
He look at himself purely as an artist, even to this day. I was literally just talking to Jalal today, and he's talking about, I need to get my album done, The Hustle's Detention. So he is an artist in the pure sense.
Okay. So the stuff that he was talking about on Hustlers Convention, was it just truly a manifestation, everything on there, a manifestation of what he was experiencing at the time, being because he's from New York, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
right there. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
In the project. So yeah, this is basically of his environment.
Okay, so
and trying to tell a tale that to not go down this path.
So was he dabbling in that lifestyle?
Not like as a kingpin, nothing like that. But just like a normal hood kid. You know what I mean? Maybe do either here and there, but nothing on the heavy. Okay. It's more of a this tale he's trying to tell because he grew up in the hood. Yeah, he's like, I don't want he want people to get out the hood and to succeed, but just using this art form and in the language that they know. To not do this, to go towards positive and help the community and stuff like that, because that's what Jalal was about. He was more about positivity. Absolutely. So and this was trying to send a positive message, just told in the language of just like I'm gonna speak your language, but don't because he wrote the last line of the album first. We all know that. Now. So. And he really talks about that, and he's true about that. He's like, I wrote that line first, to let everyone know that, you know, not go down this path and really tell you a tale of, you know, what not to do. You know what I mean? He's an artist in its pure sense, and just really trying to, you know, tell a good tale about, you know, what not to do.
Nice.
Wow.
So, go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it's you know, it's crazy to see, you know, that, you know, he still has the same energy, you know, and the same, you know, feeling as, you know, to still go, you know, to still do it. And
love hip hop.
yeah, man, it's crazy, and it's just good to see that the world, you know, it accepts this, you know, and still takes it in, because, you know, I didn't know, and so I had the opportunity of meeting Abio Dunn maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, nice.
You know, yeah, and you know, he came through, he sat down, we were all in the studio. I was doing some music at the time, and he had came through, and, you know, he had spoke a piece, you know, on somebody else's album. I forget the guy's name, but he told us so many stories, you know, of the time, you know, when he was expressing the poetry and doing these things, and he even said that people were actually trying to stop it, like it was, you know, a big thing, you know, like, you know, when you're trying to uplift people, you know, a lot of people, you know, a lot of folks don't really want that, you know, so. I mean, it's good to see, you know what I mean, to this day, you know, that there's, you know, that they're still going strong and still doing that thing, like, all over the world, you know?
Yeah. It's great, man. It is, you know what I mean? That's why I feel good to be a part of this film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is why I feel really good to be a part of it, because it's, you know, I feel like yeah, I'm, you know, I feel like I'm a part of something good.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
You know what's interesting to me, Chaz, also to further your point, man. You know, you get to a point where, and particularly back then, man, where you start. And man, I'm talking about the Last Poets as a collective now. You know, you're saying these words, and you're putting this content out that has the, you know, capacity to change the mindset of a people, and as a result of changing the mindset of the people, it starts to change the way that they think, the way that they perceive things, and because of that, you know, they start to get empowered because of this knowledge of self that they have now, and then that leads to, particularly back then, you know, the law enforcement or these damn, you know, COINTEL Pro, you know, list that the Last Poets ended up on, and because of, you know, under, you know, fucking Tricky Dick at that time, you know what I mean? So it's interesting too, and I think it's courageous that these guys, and I don't really see that much anymore, and I don't know if that's because, you know, the perception of things has started to change, or the way that I like to think about it is that type of stuff still does exist, but it just exists on more of a subtle level, so that we don't actually see what's going on. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, they were definitely courageous, man, because they were putting out this content at a time where, you know, like I said, we were just sort of not coming to the end of the civil rights movement, but, you know, people were starting to have this knowledge of self, and then that was leading to, you know, this empowerment. And then as a result, you know, these agencies, these government bodies started to feel as though that we could potentially have a problem with black people, because now they're no longer accepting the bullshit that we've been feeding them all these years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, you know, a courageous act on the part of those, you know, of those brothers and those elders, and just straight out those legends. So, Quenelle, at what point did Jalal come together with Abio Dunn, Umar, Kenyatt, is it Suleiman, Nilaha, and Abu? And I don't know, you know, who were the founding members of the Last Poets, so to speak, but when did that collective, you know, come to be in existence?
the exact time frame I don't know, but I do remember the story because I asked Jalal, like, like how did it come about? And he just like, it was them in a small room, speaking poetry together. They're spitting.
You've been tuned into the Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend radio show, TCO HHL Radio. We appreciate y'all for, tuning in and checking out the interview with brother Quenell Jones. And, as he dove into the life of Jalal, a.k.a. Lightning Rod, and then his journey with the Last Poets, man, it was definitely a dope interview. And unfortunately, because of the constraints of time, we actually have to stop it now. If everybody, if you listen to TCOHHL Radio every week, you know that we're coming to the end of the show. But you also know that our archives show up on mixcloud.com/TCOHHL_radio. So this interview actually with Quenell goes for roughly, I think maybe another 30 or 40 minutes. It was a full interview. And we certainly don't want to jip you at that time, but obviously because of the time constraint, we gotta shut it down now. But by the weekend, you can go to mixcloud.com/TCOHHL_radio and get the entire interview and listen to the full interview.
Yeah, man. It was a good show, man. And shout out to Quenell Jones, man. That's the Hustlers Convention, man. It's a good film. And when it does come out, I suggest everybody take a look.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Just real quick, man, I wanted to say, and we might freaking end up going over anyway, but fuck it, yo. Have you had a chance to see Dope?
Nah, I never saw that. That's another documentary?
Nah. Dope is the movie that's out right now about those teens in California, growing up in California.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, the shit is dope, yo. It's definitely dope. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. Going into it, I had some concerns, right? But, the wife and I went to see it on Saturday, man, and the shit was thoroughly entertaining, yo. And the way that...
Is that the movie with A$AP Rocky?
Yeah, A$AP Rocky is in it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I heard that movie was good.
Yeah, good movie, man. I recommend everybody goes and supports it and checks it out, man. And what I'd like to do, just really quick, I had written a, generally when things move me because I'm inspired by the way they were put together, I like to go ahead and put, sort of brief synopsises together, just explaining my perception of the movie and what I got from it. And for Dope, what I got was, and I've already put it out there on our fan page, but what I came up with, or what I was moved to say is, Dope is an awesome and concise depiction of the millennial generation's life experiences through the lens of inner city culture set against the backdrop of hip-hop's golden era in all its glory. I definitely recommend people go and check it out. The second part to that was, thematically, it offers a quasi-innocent and victorious coming-of-age tale that far too often goes unexplored by cinematic portrayal. This is a TCOHHL classic and comes highly recommended as an addition to your hip-hop film library. So, I definitely recommend people to go and check that out, man. Like I said, it's a really dope, dope, but it really is a good film that's put together well. It's comedic, but it's also has great purpose and intent, man. So I definitely recommend everybody checking that out, man.
All right, no question, man. I'm going to check it out myself, too, because I didn't even see it yet, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Stats, you got anything to say in closing, man?
Yeah, man, I just want to, tell everybody thanks for listening, man. It's another Wednesday, 8 to 10. I'll see y'all next week. It always feels good, man, to be on here, man. I always look forward to Wednesday, y'all. So I hope y'all look forward to listening.
No doubt. And next week, if things go according to plan, we actually gonna have another dope show.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want us to say too much about it yet. But if things go according to plan, man, it's definitely going to be another historical show that deals with culture as it relates to, sort of these subsets, if you will, or subcultures, if you will, of hip hop culture. So definitely come back and check it out. And as always, we ain't going to bullshit with the music. We always like to put together a nice playlist. I like to think today that the playlist reflected, the overall tone of the show, given that we were speaking about Lightning Rod, Hustlers Convention, Jalal, The Last Poets. So yeah, come back next week and we'll do it again.
That's right, man.
Word. So the drill. Word is born is life. Identify your dreams and goals and pursue them with resolve and conviction. Stay this course, and everything else will eventually fall into place. Stay passionate, people. 100.
Peace.
Say goodnight to everybody. Good night, moon. You say it.
Good night, moon.
Here we go. Good night, stars.
Good night, stars.
Good night, Popo.
Good night, Popos.
Good night, fiends.
Good night, fiends.
Good night, hoppers.
Good night, hoppers.
Good night, hustlers.
Good night, hustlers.
Good night, scammers.
Good night, scammers.
Good night to everybody.
Good night to everybody.
Good night to one and all.
Good night to one